Coming up,
Sounds
a
great.
lot of funny things happen in hot tubs, but I'm not sure if you can top this one. The Willis Watchdogs bark about the man who just wanted a hug. Next. A new survey shows that many businesses have decided that one way to stay afloat during the recession, pass on increased health insurance premium costs to their employees. So now, not only are a lot of you going without a raise, but you're being asked to pay more out of pocket for health coverage. Let's meet our panel. Mark Levine, radio talk show host, Mimi Roth, CHC, am I saying that right? CHC health counselor.
Certified health counselor.
And Lindsay and now it's phonetic. It's phonetic in the prompter and I can't read it. It's Lindsay Piegza. Did I do that right?
Well done.
FTN financial economist. All right, Mark, let's start with you. What do you think about these healthcare costs getting shifted back onto workers? It sounds like the promise is being broken for healthcare reform.
Wouldn't it be great to go to the doctor of your choice, get your health care needs taken care of, and not have to worry about paying for it? Oh, wait, no, the Republicans call that socialism. Look, we're stuck with the current employer program we have, at least as long as Republicans get money from health care insurance companies. But one thing that President Obama's new law will do is to finally cut down on these runaway costs, which employers are pushing off to employees, and employees are pushing back. We need to cut costs. That's why the bill's a good
Does Mark have it right, Lindsay?
Certainly, and we should expect to see costs continue to rise into the coming years. Look, employers are facing these costs. They have to pass it on to the consumer. And unfortunately, when we talk about job creation, when we interviewed these businesses, rising costs, especially healthcare costs, were one of the primary reasons that they were hesitant to take on new employees. And in fact, that was one of the reasons that they continue to lay off even as we move into the end of the year.
Mimi, can't some of those employers swallow some of those extra costs?
They haven't. Only this year they've seen the prices go down, or the cost of them go down a little bit, but year over year up until then they've been going up. And the reality is these are employees that are causing these costs. 3/4 of chronic illness we give to ourselves through lifestyle choices. So this is why it matters what your colleagues eat and if they do or don't exercise. This is why it matters if your neighbors do or don't exercise or take care of themselves, because whether it's Medicare, Medicaid, or employee health care, we all pick up the tab for this crazy American lifestyle.
Well, I think that's more a long-term cost. Right now, we're worried about the short-term cost, which is causing jobs in the economy.
3/4 of today's this chronic illness. Half of the American
stop blaming the victims.
Pills. This is, you guys, this is sickness and 750 billion in costs of chronic illness we're giving to ourselves.
Well, it's the consumer's responsibility then to pay for themselves. So in essence,
so we shouldn't be crying that it's getting passed on to the employees.
Then the consumer should be stepping up and saying, hey, I want to eat that extra donut, so I'll pay for all of my health care.
I agree completely.
Every other
we found
industrialized
consensus,
nation.
Mark. I hope you don't have a different opinion here, because we found a little bit of consensus here. And I really want to move on to the next story here.
All right.
The head of J.P. Morgan Chase.
All right.
You know Jamie Dimon. He's seeing the asking price of his mansion shrink, according to the Chicago Tribune. The chairman and CEO of the bank had to cut the price from $9.5 million down to almost $7 million. My heart is bleeding. Dimon paid $4.68 million for the 18-room mansion along Chicago's Gold Coast back in 2000. Mark, I got to go to you with this. Come on, who cares? So we had to cut the price of his darn house. It's the price of being king.
I think Jamie Dimon should start paying for everyone else's health care. I mean, that would be the real solution here.
Good luck with
that.
I
have no sympathy for Jamie Dimon. I have more sympathy for the homeless man in the hot tub than I do for Jamie Dimon.
Yeah, let's see.
Lindsay?
Well, look, he was pricing himself out of the market. He was looking back to the 2007 levels, which was the height of the market. So, of course, he had to bring the price down more in line with where prices are. So if
and in
he's pricing it to move,
2007, what was his bonus? 27 million. I think it was only 17 million last year. And we know that 95 billion in the bailout went to him, not to him personally, but to
well,
Chase.
this is about pricing an asset though correctly for the market. You want to make sure that buyers can come in and move that house. And if he is a motivated seller, this is how you do it.
That high end has the biggest swings. All right, let's go on to the next story. A teen is busted in Montana after he accidentally, sent a message to the county sheriff looking to buy pot. The text message said, "Hey, dog, do you have a 20 I can buy right now?" The irony here is I wouldn't know what that meant. A detective pretended to be a drug dealer and met the boy at a store. The teen was with his friends and one of their parents. One of the boys fainted. Mimi, what do you think?
Well, let's see. I found out early in life that massive paranoia and the munchies didn't really work out for me, but I'm really glad that in the case that they did not arrest these kids. One of them fainted, as you were saying, Jerry. They let the parents handle it. I'm all for decriminalizing marijuana, and these kids probably learned their lesson, but what idiots. Texting. What is the name for this? We had texting, sexting, and getting your 20 bag, or whatever it's called. I don't know.
That the drug dealer actually accepts bids via text. It's so much easier to claim I'm not a drug dealer if you don't have text tracking your activities.
It'll make it easier when we decriminalize it and start regulating it.
That's a good point, but
Mark,
I do like how the police officer didn't
Mark,
press charges.
you know, it's hard for a man to get a word in edgewise in a debate full of women, but it's your turn, sir.
Well, except that Mimi's absolutely right on this one, so I don't disagree with her. She's absolutely right in everything she said, and the only thing I have to add is that, the teenager maybe be a little more careful next time.
Oh, I wouldn't decriminalize it. Okay, let's go on to the next story.
I would decriminalize it, absolutely. No, Mimi's right.
Okay. A homeless man in Oregon is in hot water for trespassing and misusing the 911 system. Cops arrested him after he snuck into a suburban Portland backyard, jumped into the hot tub, and stayed there for 10 hours. Then he called the emergency line for a few small requests: towels, hot chocolate with marshmallows, and a hug. Mark, your turn.
It's tough when you sit in a hot tub for 10 hours. Of course he needed a hug and towels and hot chocolate. You know, maybe we should give him Jamie Dimon's mansion. That would, I don't know, that might be,
you
that may be rough
Democrats,
justice.
you're going to help him out here. Okay, all right. Mimi, what
As it turns out, by the way,
I feel a
he
little
didn't
bit
call
bad for him.
911. In fairness, he called 411, and they transferred him to 911. So really, the real people at fault here are the 411 people.
Mark, I love that you have your facts straight. That's true. The guy did call 411. So apparently you call 411 when you need hot cocoa and hugs. But the guy's in jail now. The guy's in jail now, and I think he's going to end up with way more than hugs and hot cocoa.
You know what? Mental asylums are cheaper than jail. Ronald Reagan should never have emptied them. I mean, he's crazy.
I mean,
he needs
certainly
help.
there was a crime here. He trespassed, broke into someone's home. So it makes sense that the police did press charges, but your heart has to go out for him. He just wanted a hug.
We've got one more story here. Peter, take notice. Australian officials euthanized a large beached whale yesterday by blowing a hole in its head with explosives. They said it was too big to shoot. Mimi, don't you think that's wild?
Let me tell you something. It was fast, and they say it was humane. They call it a cranial implosion. Now, this sounds terrible to me, but let's remember, Medicare spends no, wait a second. Let me get it right. $50 billion in the last 2 months. End of life care. So I'm starting to think here. How much are we spending on this, America? Maybe the cranial implosion, if it's really humane.
I'm wondering why they didn't put the resources into moving the actual animal back into the...
It was terminal.
It was terminal. Yeah. Well, you know, they did have the supplies and the equipment to move him after the cranial implosion, so I'm wondering why they didn't maybe make more of an effort pre-implosion to get him back into the water.
They said it was
Mark,
humane.
help me out here. It's a blubber of a conversation.
Save the whale if you can. The cranial implosion is a last-ditch effort, but I got to say, a beached whale reminds me of our current healthcare system. It needed an explosion.
It all gets back to that for you now, doesn't it? All right, guys.
Does.
Mark, Mimi, Lindsay, thanks so much for helping us out today. All right, if you're hightailing it out of town this weekend, we've got